Hello girlfriends, welcome to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jody and it's great to have you join me today. Today I'm doing a this or that video where I'm looking at two different hair gels, and I think that's the perfect thing to look at in the summertime. When I think of summertime curls, I'm oftentimes reaching for gels because they just provide more hold, more structure to my hair, and that's what I need in the heat and humidity. So the two gels that we will be going in with is the TGIN Rose Water Curl Defying Styling Gel. That's what that one looks like. And then we'll also be going in with the Giovanni LA Hold Strong Hold Styling Gel. But before we dive into these products in particular, I do want to tell you kind of my base layer, what I started with. Even though it's summertime and oftentimes I can do gels as a single stylers, or a lot of times I focus on single stylers in the summertime because I don't need as much moisture. I don't need as much layering of products. But these are gels that I don't feel like I can go in with. One in particular, I'm pretty certain I can't go in with just by itself. The other one I haven't played around with quite as much. We'll get more into those details as I go to the products individually or specifically. But I'm going to tell you what I already have in my hair. I had the Shea Moisture Jamaican Black Castor Oil Strengthen and Restore Leave-In Conditioner. That's what this one looks like here. I knew I needed a base layer with these gels pretty much, or that's what I determined based on one gel in particular. Like I said, the other one I haven't played around with quite as much, but I wanted to go in with something that would give me a little bit of moisture and something that would give me a little bit of definition. Traditionally, I have gone in with, my Aussie Hair Insurance Leave-In Conditioner, and that is just a leave-in conditioner. It doesn't do anything else. Like, it doesn't provide any curl, it doesn't clump the curls or anything like that. This one does, so I am going to tell you that. I am looking at these gels primarily for hold, maybe also for shine, any grit or volume that they can lend to my hair. You know, those are other things, but I am looking for hold for these gels to get me through the summertime heat and humidity, like I said. Now that I've told you about the leave-in that I've already applied to my hair and brush styled in, let's look at the product shot of these two gels and just get a little bit better idea of what a gel is supposed to do for your hair. Hair gel is a styling product used to stiffen, structure, and hold hair in place, providing a wet look or defined styles that last all day. It ranges from light to maximum hold, binding hair strands together to create styles like pompadours, slickbacks, or defined curls. Alright, so the first gel I'm going to start out applying is the TGIN, the Rose Water Gel. This is the TGIN Rose Water Curl Defying Styling Gel. The 13 ounce retails for $16. This gel will help you achieve flawless styling. Boost volume and define your kinks, curls, and waves for touchable soft hold. It's supposed to reduce frizz, boost volume, define curls, and be a flake-free styling. The directions start out by talking about how to cleanse and condition your hair using the rose water line, but for the gel specifically, it says to smooth evenly through your strands from roots to tip and style as usual. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I've actually just recently re-added water to my hair, so we're going to go in with a little bit of this gel. Now, I have troubles pumping this out. It's kind of a stiff pump. I don't know if my pump is just getting like old or something. Oh, there was a clog. I just saw a clog come out. So I don't know how well you could see that little extra gloop of stuff. I'm gonna wipe my hands off and start over with trying to get a new pump out. Okay, let's try this again. It's still like a stiff pump, like it doesn't glide super easily or pump super easily. But this is a thicker gel, a clear, thicker gel. Now, based on the packaging, I would have thought maybe it would have been pink. I mean, I've used this enough to know that it wasn't pink, but initially I thought it might have been pink because the packaging makes it look like it's going to be. And you know, like the rose water name. Speaking of that, what does the scent? It doesn't really smell rose-like. It doesn't particularly smell floral at all to me, which I'm happy because I don't really care for floral scents all that much. But I don't know, it just smells pleasant. It's not super strong. I would say, what do I want to call this? Just, I guess, a perfume scent. Like I said, this was a thick gel just to glide over my hair. This was a very thick application, so I recommend having your hair soaking wet when you're putting this product on. I do want to go in with just a little bit more, just a pea-sized amount, okay? And then I'm also going to go in with some water. I'm going to spray that on my hand just to help emulsify this product. And now it is a much thinner feeling consistency on my hands. I forgot to show you like how the tackiness was of this. Well, maybe I'll do that here in a minute. Okay. I can still feel my hands kind of sticking to my hair, and you don't traditionally want that. So let me wipe my hands off because they're really sticky right now. And I'm going to go in and just spray my hair directly with this continuous mist bottle. And I'm going to scrunch some more. You can hear the squish in my hair now as I do that. And my hands are not sticking to my hair now at this point, which is what I want. So as I was saying, water is key, I think, for application for this gel. This is not one of those gels that I would choose to brush style in. You're going to run into troubles, I believe, personally. Now, I know I kind of showed you the tackiness of the gel earlier in the product shot, but to actually talk about it here in front of you, there is a significant amount of tack to that. And it builds kind of as the product starts to dry. So as this sits on my hands, and like I'm talking and everything like that, and I go to do this again, I can feel more tack to my hands. At this point, I'm going to go clean my hands and then we'll begin applying the other product. Before we move on, I do want to say, in the past, I have used this rose water gel, and I've used it mostly in the summertime. I might have used it a couple times in the winter, but I found that this to be a more drying gel, like I was speaking of earlier. And so this was like the main culprit, the main reason why I wanted to go in it with something that would give me enough moisture. This one I would never dream of pairing or just using by itself. I think it needs to be paired with something, in my opinion, even with more fine hair. But I do love the idea of using this gel in the summertime because it is more drying and I don't have to worry about being heavy and weighing my hair down. And in the past, I found it to give pretty good hold. So now we're going to move on to the other side. I do definitely need to re-wet my hair down. This continuous mist bottle has a really long mister on it. I will say that. It definitely goes on and on and on, it feels like. Just kind of trying to glaze that over, working that those water molecules into my strands a little bit without trying to disrupt the actual like curl of my hair. Okay, this is still looking dry right here. So I'm going to spray this, target this area. That's one of the areas that always dries out the first for me, the fastest. All right, I think we have that in a better condition. So let's move on to the Giovanni gel. This is the Giovanni LA Hold Styling Gel Strong Hold. The 6.8 ounce retails for anywhere from $5.99 to $10.99. I personally picked mine up at TJ Maxx and found it for $5.99, but I have seen it online for more. It says, grab onto style and hold on tight with our strongest gel that takes hold to the extreme so you can stand firm in the spotlight. It's supposed to secure and shape with extreme hold, shines brilliantly with surface enhancers, it controls frizz with authority, is color safe and vegan friendly. The directions say to work through damp or dry hair and style as desired for professional finish. Just going over the specs of the product, I noticed that the rose water one talks about volume, but this one does not. Okay, I'm trying to grab about the same amount for starters. This one is a thick gel as well. But when I was doing the side by side, I didn't think it had quite as much tack when I was doing like the product shot initially. But now I think that this has just about as much tack. Okay, I feel like that's worked into my hands. So I'm actually going to waste that, unfortunately, and start over. I don't mind applying gel that I've emulsified. Actually, I like to do that. But what I don't like to do is I don't like to do it once it starts to like dry down just a little bit. I felt like playing with it kind of made it dry down a little bit. So I've emulsified this into my hands. I'm just going to glaze it on. Trying to kind of do the same thing that I did with the other side. Now I can hear the squish in my hair with the water, but I do feel like I might want to go in with just a little bit more. My hands don't feel like they're sticking to my hair quite as much. But since I did it on the other side, I feel like I should do it on this side too. Okay, I'm going to go in with a little bit more water here once again. Put a little gel on my hands, just like a pea-sized amount once again. Don't need much. Spray water, like I said, into my hands. Mix this all around. It becomes more like a serum when you mix like a very thick gel like this all around, and it just smooths over so much more easily. It's not like the product application is terrible with either of these gels, but once again, I would recommend not brush styling them through. These are going to be gels that you're going to want to glaze over more than anything. Even finger raking, you may find yourself running into problems snagging your hair a bit, pulling on your hair a little bit more, especially if you have more fine hair. But, okay. Let me just give this side another scrunch. And let's take a look at the side by side. So this is the Giovanni LA Hold side. And this is the TGIN Rosewater side. And now I'm going to go diffuse my hair and we'll come back and see what these results look like. All right, friends, I am back with my hair fully diffused and styled, and let's take a look at these results. I have the TGIN Rosewater on this side, what the curls are looking like, and then the Giovanni LA Hold, and what the curls are looking like. You guys, I'm actually really observing this for the first time in real time, like as we're talking, as you're looking over things, I'm looking over things. And I'm going to give you a shot at what the back of the hair looks like. Keep in mind, my hair, when I do these type of styles, has that awkward split in it, which I guess maybe helps you identify, you know, where the clear divide is, but it looks awkward. I don't enjoy it. I'm going to start out and say that both sides, as I was diffusing, had a pretty significant cast for most of the diffusing process. Now at this point, the cast has pretty much broke up. I mean, we'll talk more about that when I get into each side, but it's not nearly like it was before. So for the TGIN Rosewater side, you guys, I have great definition. Very minimal frizz, even on the top part and on the underside. I have good shine to my hair. As far as volume, because they did mention volume, and I love to have volume, I just tend to be more volume challenged, and the center part does not help that whatsoever. But for volume, it's not bad. Like, it's not flat. My hair looks decent. Is it extra voluminous? No, I don't think. But it's not bad. Now, the hold of my hair, I will say, like I said, I had the cast the entire way through drying, and just towards the very end, it started to break up some. There is still a little bit of a cast, I would say, and I could choose to break that up. I could scrunch it out more, like I could clap it out. I could also, I'm sure if I would have dried my hair even longer, like I stopped drying when my hair was about 90% dry, or I stopped blow drying it and diffusing it, I should say. Well, it was about 90% dry, and then I let air dry the rest away. I'm assuming that if I would have just continued blow drying it with the diffuser, that it might have broke up the cast more. Like I said, I could clap it out, scrunch it out. I could also take an oil and kind of smooth the scrunch things out that way, but I like having a cast, so it just makes me feel like it's going to hold up longer. There is a little bit of grip to my hair, gives a little bit of structure, I feel like, to my curls, and just helps things hold their shape better. We'll see obviously how it's going to last into day 2, but so far I am liking my results. And for the moisture, because I did say that this tends to be a little bit more of a drying gel. Now the things that I have paired it with before as a base have never been quite as moisturizing as the Shea Moisture leave-in conditioner, so that may have something to do with it, but my moisture feels good right now. But it's usually not on day 1 that's the problem. It's into day 2, 3, and if I wait and wash till day 4, you know, then it becomes more dry as the days progress. So we'll see if there's any difference tomorrow, you know, when we check back on the hair. But right now, feels great. Now, for the LA Hold side, the Giovanni LA Hold side, I have good definition. I have a very minimal frizz. Even on the top side, there is a little bit more frizz. Just, I think, a slight bit more halo frizz, but not a ton. Hardly noticeable at all. But like I said, good definition on both the underside and the top. There's decent amount of shine. I don't know that there's any more shine on one side versus the other. I feel like the shine is just about the same. As far as my volume, also, I feel like that's just about the same. I'm looking in my mirror, I'm looking in the viewfinder, and I don't notice a big difference. There's not like loads of volume, but it's certainly not flat. And if I could do my side part rather than the center part, I think it would even help even more with that. As far as the hold to my hair, this also, as I said, had a strong cast throughout the diffusing process. And just like the other side, I left the side air dry for the last like 10% it had to dry. And so I think that there would have been like basically no cast if I had just continued to air dry or just continued to blow dry. But the cast has maintained a little bit. There is a little bit of grit. Now, I actually feel like the LA Hold side, the Giovanni LA Hold side has just a little bit more grit than the TGIN Rosewater side, just ever so slightly. But the moisture feels good on this as well. There's not an issue with that, at least not at this point. We will see how that holds up, like I said, as we go. But overall, I am honestly liking both of these gels. At this point, I can't determine really which one I like better. I may have one that's slightly winning out just a little bit, but I'm gonna wait, make any determinations for tomorrow. We'll see how day 2 hair is and give you any of my final thoughts at that point. Okay friends, I am back for day 2 hair using the 2 gels. I have the TGIN Rosewater gel on this side, and then the Giovanni LA Hold gel on this side. And I gotta say, you guys, this is such a close draw. Like, I don't know when I've had such a close draw. It's been a long time. I honestly love both sides, and I honestly think both sides look very similar. I have great definition still on my TGIN Rosewater side. I do have a little bit more halo frizz up here, but that's to be expected. And like I said, the definition's still good, the volume's still decent, and the curls have really held their shape pretty well. Not really very wonky curls or anything like that. I have noticed yesterday and this morning that I was breaking up my curl clumps a little bit more on the TGIN Rosewater side, just ever so slightly. Now, as far as the moisture, because I did say that this gel did tend to be a little bit more of a drying gel, it doesn't feel as moisturized as it was yesterday, but it doesn't feel bad. I still like how it feels. Now, come like day 4, we might be getting a tad too much on the drying side, and you know, that's okay with me because I usually wash by day 4 anyways. If you're someone that stretches your wash day longer, you know, you might have issues with that. You might have to go in and re-moisturize your hair. But if you have very fine hair, you know, you might really like that for your hair. If you have like a really soft finish, I guess is what I'm thinking, you might really enjoy this. But I am loving this. As I break up these curl clumps more, it's giving me more volume and everything like that. So I just keep finding that I'm doing that. Now on the Giovanni side, I also have good definition. I feel like my curls maybe might not be quite as spirally on my Giovanni side. I was kind of thinking that a little bit yesterday, and I kind of still feel that way just a little bit today. Not bad though. I still feel like I have good definition. Once again, a similar amount of frizz, just a little bit of halo frizz, and that's to be expected. I still have decent volume. I have like this little wonky bit that's kind of sticking out here, showing off, kind of ruining the vibe. But I will say that yesterday and today, while I was putting on my makeup, and yesterday just as I was doing stuff around the house, I did have my hair pinned back because it's just, that's how I prefer to do it. If I'm going about my day and my hair is hanging in my face, which it often is with this kind of hairstyle with a center part, then it really bugs me, and I'm more likely to just kind of cause more frizz by brushing it back all the time. So hair clips are a good thing, but I think that might be partially, like this extra kink might be partially because of the hair clip that had been in there earlier. But like I was saying, my volume looks decent. The shine for both of these still looks about the same to me, in my opinion. It looks like a natural amount of shine. Now, as far as the moisture on my Giovanni side, I'm going to say ever so slightly, just ever so slightly, it feels like my Giovanni side is keeping a little bit more moisture, not much. Like, I'm really stretching to feel the difference, okay? I'm really stretching to feel a difference, and that might be just, sometimes it's hard to determine grit versus like moisture after it gets to a certain point, in my opinion. So I might just be feeling a little bit more grit on the Rosewater side, and I can't tell for sure. Like I said, it's so slight, I just can't tell for sure. Let me show you what the back of my hair looks like, as I've been talking this whole time and not giving you a good view of the back. One thing I did forget to talk about the other day regarding the Giovanni LA Hold one is the scent. Now, I do remember commenting yesterday that the TGIN one had more of a perfume scent, and so before coming on camera, I've really worked to smell this one. And it does have a light fragrance, a kind of a fresh fragrance to me, kind of a combination between a fresh and a salon fragrance, but it's very mild, more mild than I would say the Rosewater one is. I really had to sniff to try to understand what I was smelling. It's been a while since I said this though, but my nose isn't the most discerning nose, so there are definitely people out there who can distinguish scents far better than I can. But now comes to the tricky part. Now comes to the part that I've kind of been dreading for this video, and it's like a good, bad thing to have. I am struggling to decide which one I like better. Which one do I like better? Because I usually choose in these this or that videos, one that just stands out a little bit more to me. They're so similar, I feel like, in their looks. Once again, I'm going to give you guys another look, and I want you guys to vote which one you like better, because like I said, I am having such a hard time determining. This is the Rosewater one, the TGIN Rosewater on my left side. Just look at the curls here. And this is the Giovanni LA Hold one on my right side. What do you guys think? Which one do you guys like better? Because they've both held up very well. They've both performed and defined my curls very well. Neither have left my hair over moisturized, and yet my hair, while it isn't like super moisturized, it's not dried out yet. So I just don't know which one to choose. Actually, I have one I'm kind of leaning towards. You know what, let me do a quick calculation of the price per ounce of these. That's really not going to affect my determination, but it might affect your determination of which one you like better. But then after that point, I'll reveal which one I feel like is my favorite. Okay, if you go base per ounce, the TGIN Rosewater one actually wins out just a little bit if I'm using the Giovanni price of the $10.99. That's the highest price that I saw for it, or the generalized highest price. If you find it for $5.99, then the Giovanni one, it definitely wins out in the price value. But either way, they're pretty close even when you're using the highest price for this one. But now, drum roll please, because we're going to decide which one we like better. I'm going to say ever so slightly the TGIN Rosewater. I just thought yesterday I was kind of gravitating towards that one a little bit. I just like the curl pattern just a little bit better. It's just a little bit more spiral, I have felt like, looking at it from the front and the back. And that's nothing really against this one. Like, this one looks pretty good, but I just like the way my Rosewater side is laying a little bit better. And as far as the hold and the moisture, those are so close to each other that it really doesn't make a big difference to me on those in that regard. So that is my favorite, I guess. And like I said, let me know which one though you would vote on, which one you'd choose as your favorite. As I've mentioned a number of times, both of these products are very, very similar. And so I think that they could work for a variety of hair types. You just have to work on how you apply them. For those with more medium, coarse, or rougher finish, you'll still want to go in on wet hair, I believe. If you're going to do like a curly style. If you're doing a slick back, you could probably do damp hair. But if you're like styling your curls, I feel like any hairstyle needs to use both of these gels on wet hair. Very wet hair. I don't think that you need to dilute the gel quite as much. Those with finer or softer finished hair, you might find that you need to dilute the gel more, especially if you have a lower density. Just mix a little water in with your gel as you're emulsifying it in your hands, and you should find that it applies pretty easily. Other than that, those are my only caveats to these gels. As I said, I think they could work for a variety of hair types, and it just depends on what you like. Do you like that firmer hold? Do you like that harder hold? Do you like getting the cast? Do you not mind drying? Because, that's another thing. That's another thing. If you have very dry hair, you are definitely going to have to go in with something that's more moisturizing underneath. You definitely have to go in with that. And you're probably going to have to take into consideration what time of the year that you're using this. If you have dry hair, you're probably going to want to avoid this gel in the winter months when it's already colder and the air is drier. In the summer months, you could probably get away with it. Like I said, if you moisturize appropriately underneath. Those of you with finer hair, softer finish, you're not worried about that necessarily. You could probably get away, if your hair isn't super dry, you could probably get away with this any time of the year, but I feel like it's personally best in the summertime. So let me know what you thought of this video in the comments down below, and until I see you again in the next one, have a great day. Bye.